Okay, great. Good afternoon, one and all. Good to see all of you here. Those of you who have taken out time from your clinics to attend this webinar. And I hope I'll be able to add some value to today's session. Let me share my screen and we can begin the proceedings as usual on time. So if you can see my screen, please type V. V stand for visible. If you can see my screen, please type V in the chat box. Thank you. So today is the pain point session number 4. Intended to finish in 1 or 2 parts. I've taken the series to 3rd, 4th, and now 5th part also will be there on next Thursday at 8 p.m. on 8 September. Will be the finale episode of this. Begin today's session. We have done so far in the first 3 parts, and then we can begin from the 4th part. I'll just spend for much more detail, which was started on Twitter from almost 1,500 of you. But unfortunately, not many are interested in getting solution. They are only interested in listening to their pain points only. So they're listing their pain points and they're happy with whatever they had. Maybe if they're lucky, they could get solutions in there. Never mind. Thank you, Dad. Miss you always. So this is my brief CV. You all are aware of it by now. So we all are here for this topic, pain points, part number 4 today. So we have taken up 2 parts on 12th of August and the 3rd part on 19th of August. And we will be taking up the 5th part, of course, next Thursday as well. So what we did in part 1, let me give you a brief breakdown of those things. We started with, of course, the different levels. Everybody does have pain points that can be from 0 to 1 to 10. And what they are by definition, of course, they are simply speaking, they are just the problems. If we just translate them into simple language. So I have categorized those into 7 categories: financial pain points, productivity pain points, process pain points, support pain points, ethical pain points, not in our hand pain points, and miscellaneous pain points. Of course, we have discussed till half of point 3 till now. But yes, 2, 3, and 4 are the longest ones. Of course, first was also longer. But yes, what we have discussed, I'll be discussing you. Whatever problems you sent me, I tried to categorize that into various subheadings, into processes. Of course, the classification that I gave was not that rigid, but it was still able to make a difference to all of you. And we started with the financial pain points firstly, which primarily were, you can say, related to pricing, charging, bargaining, fear of losing the patient, low standard practice, raise in treatment charges, balancing finances with your personal life. And of course, you can say people making a feedback, oh, you are expensive, your charges are very high, and all those sort of things. And then, of course, less financial output has been the problem which has been plaguing many people, those who are not actually aware of the problem they are facing. No money satisfaction, of course, hand to mouth living currently, and many more, including the inflation part and people judging them. We saw 2 advertisements yesterday, which I put up in the group as well. But yes, again, ethical or non-ethical, I will put up my words on that, but expecting a few more replies from you in the group before I put up my words. So then we started with the productivity pain points in the same session, number 1 only. Lack of patients, less footfall, rural areas, OPD too much, OPD too less. These are the main pain points. If somebody has too much, he has a lack of work-life balance and lack of time management. And if he has too less, then they are guessing the patient expectations. Then lack of less knowledge about materials, armamentarium, value, again, charges part, returns part, comparatively in the post-COVID and the pre-COVID time. Health neglected, of course, because of the sedentary lifestyle or sedentary practice style, I would say. And we put up a full stop on the productivity pain point, point number 13. in the session number 1. Then in the next session number 2, we started from same where we had left, but then I picked up a few common scenarios in session number 3. So the common scenarios mostly related to female counterparts of our profession. So I gave you the 2 distinct scenarios, discussed them, and of course gave you the solutions for that as well. So then we started with the process pain points, and we discussed what exactly are included around the lack of awareness, explaining the breakup of charges, time taken to develop the skills, lack of delegation, decentralization, less conversion ratio, and patients not appreciating genuine practice and not paying well. And then lack of consistency, don't know what to market, how to market. I gave you a detailed breakup of the same in session number 2 and 3, how to go about the organic and the inorganic stuff. Then yes, people explained that they had been using paid ad scenario, and then what was the thing? I gave them the solution regarding the first 2, you can say, mainly depend upon the organic, and then for validation purpose, adding the feedback and testimonials, and then going in over there with the inorganic or the paid part. Of course, there were many more points on marketing, which I discussed in detail over there, followed by certain fundamental principles that I gave in part 3 as well. So then the process pain points we discussed till about, I think 42 or no, I think we discussed till 52 in the session number 2 itself. And when the pain point session number 3 started, I intended to take up these points, but then I chose to take up 5 scenarios, which were, again, majority of them were from the female counterparts, and how their problems, how their life has been shaped after marriage, before marriage, or what are their priorities as such. We discussed in detail about that. This is scenario 1, which was extended up to 3 pages on the slide. Then scenario number 2, those who don't have their own clinic, but they're handling their clinic, discussing those scenarios by them. Then scenario number 3, then again, the same scenario number 3 at 7 points. So I thought it to rather not to categorize under any other heading, but to take it up as an individual scenario. Then scenario number 4 and scenario number 5, which I took up, which had major problems in that. In that, a lot was taken up, of course, not taken up the individual points. And after that, I told you to find opportunities amongst problems, hope amongst difficulties. And then I discussed about the 7 foundational activities of the business, stable and successful business: marketing, sales, operations, R&D, HR, accounting, and management. And of course, we forget that we need number 7 more, and we tend to ignore number 7 the most as we get busier in our practice. So I explained about, again, the marketing part in detail, about the organic, inorganic, about the validation part, about ad spends or not, and when to do, how to do. I explained that in there. Then the reason of sales or conversion pitch that we do, and of course, marketing and sales differences. Then, because people always believe that it is only the, you can say, dhanda bahut manda hai, that is not the scenario actually. And of course, adding value in people's lives through marketing. Then the operation, the actual treatment part, and what are the goals for that, and R&D in, you can say, adding in innovativeness in the clinical part, and the accounting part, the financial reporting, compliance, and accuracy part. Then the 6 is the HR part, which I'll be discussing in the support pain points as well in detail. And training and mentoring system, what are the 4 factors which are important? And of course, how to manage staff a little bit better, and by respecting the nature's law of investing first on yourself. And of course, consistency in each of the operations is required to have a well-oiled machinery in the clinic. So then hiring and firing, how to do that in a scientific way, I told you in brief about that. And once we had discussed these 6 points, I came on to the 7th most important point, which requires clarity, competency, capability, and the courage. We may have a clarity, some of us don't have a clarity. Kitna chahiye, kab chahiye, kaise chahiye, kahan se aayega. Then to have a clarity, we need a competency to earn that, and a capability to do that procedure as well. And again, the risk-taking ability has to be there. For that, you require the courage part. And of course, needs and wants, I gave you a different acronyms for that. So new, emerging, and existing difficulties to be solved, and what aspects are needed to be successful for wants. Of course, every problem presents an opportunity. With this, I finished session number 3 and came to the end discussing about the fundamentals of the business. So today we'll be starting part 4. I intentionally spent 5-7 minutes over these, you can say, recap, so that you know what has been discussed earlier. And by the time many people can join in whatever best they want to learn from it, they can. Number 3 is pain points. We had discussed 52 points. Let's take up further. So everybody is asking that I should attend them and do their treatment, which is practically not possible. Very few patients want treatment from junior doctors or my colleague, as I've been in practice for the last 19 years. As I explained in the last session of 7 foundational activities, as you grow older in practice, not age wise, but older in practice, as you grow wiser in practice, as you grow busier in practice, you have to learn to delegate. You can't do everything by yourself. If you are the best on your team, then remember, you cannot create your clones. You will never be satisfied from whatever work your associates are doing. I'm not telling you to compromise. I'm telling you to hire and train your staff for that purpose. Your associates, your assistants for that purpose. Of course, in this case, the associates who can work as like you. If you have to do everything in your practice, I'm really sorry to say, money aside, you will be burning your back and neck. And this profession is not very kind to us. You will problem aayegi, to I'll get it done from them only. If I develop an immediate problem in my tooth right now, I will get it done from them only. Of course, you should have that confidence and conviction in the same. And of course, you should mean it also, not just say it to the patient. That means if you have hired a colleague who is competent enough, and even if he's not very competent, it is your duty to train him as per your clinic conditions. So I guess that is the way to go. And as and when you explain to the patient in a conviction-filled manner, the patients will automatically get adjusted to it. Heavy OPD, which I'm able to manage better following your Pareto principle since COVID times and sharing the cases with junior dentist. But still, many old patients want to get treated by me only, as they're not comfortable even being administered LA by the junior doc. I would like to know from you to how to deal with such issues. I already explained part 1 of this. Regarding the LA part, I would advise you, if the patients are not comfortable, tell the first part that I have already told in point number 53, and you can inject the same yourself. You can inject the same yourself and let the associate do the procedure. Firstly, eliminate that word from your mental dictionary of junior doc. If you keep on saying junior doc, the patients will take them for a junior doc. As associates, as dentists, we are peers in profession. Once you are BDS, he's BDS, or she is BDS, you all are equal. It is just the years of experience that is the difference. So there is nothing called as a senior or a junior, which I repeated in the first 2 sessions also. We all are peers in professions. We have associates. A better word to use is an associate rather than a junior or a senior doc. So I avoid you to use these words and get rid of this terminology from your mental dictionary. Then patients do not follow appointments, though it has reduced a lot after becoming little strict after attending your sessions during and after COVID, but still 50% don't come on the appointment time, no matter how much ever strictly we tell them or deny the treatment on the same day. See, it is very simple. It is not about, if बोलते हैं ना, अगर घी सीधी उंगली से नहीं निकले तो उंगली थोड़ी टेढ़ी कर लेनी चाहिए. If the straight ways are not working, bend yourself a little. So always explain to the patients that if you don't want yourself to wait, if you have appointments given and if the next patient is in on time, then you will automatically treat that patient. Tell that patient, I have the patients in line. Again, for that, you have to have a consistent OPD. If you have a consistent OPD, then you can refuse the patients by will. But if you're given the time on at 12 o'clock and you have no appointment after that, you had all of them in the morning and then you have the next appointment in the evening schedule at 4:35, whatever time you start, then it means that you are negating just based on your ego. But if you realistically have a patient at 1 o'clock and the 12 o'clock patient walks in at 12:45 or 12:50, explain very, very calmly to that patient, even if I start the, you can say the procedure, you can say the normal trials, normal consultation, normal discussion and checking and anesthesia will take around 10-15 minutes. And by that time, my next patient will come. If that next patient is on time, always give a preference to that patient who has come on time. If you explain it the way that you give a preference to that patient who has come on time, no matter whose appointment it was, of course, you will always gain much in practice. If the strictness is not working, bend yourself, be a little diplomatic, be a little, you can say, conservative, or maybe you can say, I had an appointment scheduled with my own doctor, with my own, for my own urgent work at 1 o'clock. I have to leave at 1. I'm sorry, I won't be able to treat you. Rather than denying the treatment, ki ye to vele baithe rehte hain aur they are refusing us, you can use this way, which helps to deal with that situation better. So constant same number and type of OPD, no rise in OPD. If the commonest line for this is, if you are stagnant in practice, that means you are actually going down. I would say if no rise in OPD, it will automatically mean you're a fall in income as well, or at least a fall in your take home as well. If you are doing same things, you can't expect different results. A simple answer for that is nothing changes if nothing changes. If you are doing the same things what you were doing 5 years back, why are you expecting different results? Constant same and type of OPDs, that means you have not given attention to the 7 foundational activities of the business. And the 4th foundational activity is R&D. R&D does not mean you wear a lab coat, you have, you can say, keep a microscope in your clinic and gas fumes are coming out and you're doing some experiments. R&D is about innovation, adding new services to your practice. I'm sure we don't add new products because we don't sell products, we sell services. So keep on adding, improvising new services, marketing them. And for that, you may need to make an investment in the gadgets also. If you have new things coming in your clinic, new services coming in your clinic, it will automatically inculcate your change in approach and your change in habits. But if you don't, then answer is simple, nothing changes if nothing changes. So rather than complaining about this thing, ask yourself what different you have done in the past 5 years to ask for different things, or rather than complain to me or God or yourself about it. Not increasing income after one level, that is bound to be there. If you are not having a consistent footfall, if you are not investing on marketing, if you are not investing on adding your services in your clinic, if you're not adding innovation in your practice, you will remain at a same level only in your practice. It is no brainer, no rocket science that you will remain at the same. And rather, you will have less, even with the same income, you will have less carry home because inflation is added into your expenses. And if you're not increasing income, that means you're not raising your charges also. This one line at point number 57 tells you so many things. You are not innovating, you are not marketing, you are not adding products and services, you are not raising your charges. This one line tells you everything. So the answer for you is the same. You don't expect different results if you're doing the same things. Sometimes we have to decrease charges for patient acceptance because someone is doing in so cheap level. The thing is, why do you compare? This talk is because I'm not, these complaint pain points are coming from people from my WhatsApp group only. They're not coming from general dentists or other than my groups. And those of you who are in my groups, if you complain of point number 58, that means you have not watched my costing videos. If you don't know about your costings, you will always be charging what the other person is doing around you, or around that what the other person or other dentist in your area is doing around that. So you need to understand For you to arrive at a cost level, you should know your charges, you should know your costing, your gross profit margin, your net profit margin. The costing videos are there on the YouTube channel. And it is a paid kind of a content which I've given you for free. But वही है ना, free की चीजों की कदर नहीं होती है. If I were to sell those videos, I can sell it as high as you can say 2,000 rupees per video. But I've made so many videos for all of you. If you can't even open up the groups where we discuss so many things, if you can't open up the YouTube channel where I've taken enormous amount of content for all of you, then you have no one to blame except you. Then you will keep next year, if I take a pain point session, this point will remain at 58 point only. If you don't want to bring about a change, you have to ask yourself. Justifying implant prices when colleagues are charging 25,000 for Ostem with zirconia crowns. Patients actually showed me the conversation with the dentist. Happily refuse that patient. Very, very happily refuse that patient. If you want to dig a hole into your pocket, if you want to carry home a 20% amount after, you can say, in making an investment of 100 rupees, I'm sorry to say I will refuse that work. I've repeated so many times, not everyone walking through your door is your patient. An ideal conversion ratio is 7.2 out of 10, 72 out of 100. That means 28 are not your patients. Simple answer is bye-bye, Mr. 28. That's it. If that guy is offering for 25, the patient is showing you the conversation. That means he expects you to do at least at 23, 24. And you are saying he's charging just 25,000. That means you want to charge more. The patient expects you to charge 22, 23, 24. You are raising your eyebrows at 25. Will you be able to do at 23 or 24? No. So what is the fun? Happily refuse that patient. That my system, my costing does not allow me to do that. That's the one way answer. अगर दिल में दर्द होता है तो कर लो. You get married to an implant patient, 20-30% margin पे काम करना कर लो. And I'm talking about the net profit margin. I don't talk the gross margin or whenever you say इतने का implant आ गया, इतना lab को दे दिया. Get a life, guys. It is not only about the lab charge, the raw material of the implant or the components. There is much more costing involved in that. Even if there is no costing involved in that, your skill is your biggest costing. If you don't value your skill, forget the costing and direct costing involved. आप सिर्फ देखते हो direct costing, वो भी partial. There is more to direct costing. There is more to the costing in the form of indirect costing. There is a value that you have to pay yourself in the form of skill. And if you are not charging for that 2.5 points, half of direct, full of indirect, and full of skill, means आप direct आधी देख रहे हैं, आधी direct बाकी है, indirect बाकी है, और skill बाकी है. अगर उन 2.5 costing को, if you are just looking at, you can say, अगर हम divide करें, so you are looking at 16% of the cost, roughly 16 or 17%. You are not looking at 83% of the cost. I've divided 33, 33, 33. These three heads: direct cost, indirect cost, and the scale part. So if you are just looking at half of that cost, 16 or 17%, you are ignoring 83% of costs. So आपको लगता है कि आप profit taking, आपका margin बहुत ज़्यादा है. नहीं है actually. So happily refuse such patients. Also, how to deal with such patients who we know are hunting for the best price. The amount of work to be done is so sometimes I get ready to lower my charges. Arey yaar, we are not wholesalers. We are retailers. We are dentists. सबसे पहले तो retailer भी नहीं है. I'm just giving you an example. You're ready to lower the charges because the work is enormous. Every work will have its own costing. That is why I always say calculate करो अपनी costing. आपको आईना तो रोज थोड़ा ना करनी है, साल में एक बार करनी है calculate. And or when you change it, अगर 2 साल में कुछ नहीं change हुआ तो that costing will remain with you. If the way of working, the materials remain the same costing will keep on applying to you. So once you have a mirror in front of you, you will never lower your charges. But then people are hunting for the best prices. I always say 4 तरह के पेशेंट होते हैं, A, B, C, D. A for amazing, B for breadwinning, C for convenience, D for dangerous. Amazing customers are the ones which you can say high ticket patients जो हमने कहा आंख बंद करके दे दिया, आंख बंद करके करवा लिया, जो हमने ट्रीटमेंट प्लान सजेस्ट किया, जो पैसे मांगे, whatever we ask for the treatment, whatever we suggest the treatment, whatever we ask for the treatment price, they opt for it. Breadwinning are the routine procedures, your restorations, your basic PFM, metal crowns, your root canals. These are your breadwinning patients, those who keep your oil or the bread of your clinic running. C are the convenience patients, which I also call as the window shopper patients. So, and D are the dangerous customers, जो किसी के सगे नहीं होते. आप आज इस प्राइस पे कर रहे हो, कल आप उस दूसरे प्राइस पे कोई उनको और मिल जाएगा, वो उस पे करते रहेंगे. आप और कम करोगे आफ्टर 2 years, इन 2 years इन्फ्लेशन विल गो अप. नहीं डॉक्टर साहब, पिछली बार करवाया था आपसे 20,000 पे, वो तो मेरे को लगा महंगा करवा लिया. आप 25,000 का ट्रीटमेंट 20 में कर रहे हैं, वो आपको साल बाद आके बोल रहा है 20 का महंगा करवा लिया. नाउ आई विल वांट द सेम ट्रीटमेंट इन माय वाइफ टू बी डन इन 18,000. Now, after 2 years, when inflation has taken a toll on your expenses more, will you do that treatment? नहीं, तो will go to your neighboring dentist. What will you do? दिल में दर्द होगा, हार्ट बर्न होगा, डाइजिन की बोतल रखो पास में क्लिनिक में. It will serve you best. Fear of losing the patient makes us do weird things. We want only A and B type of patients, amazing and breadwinning. Those who turn into BA patients, brand ambassador patients. I don't want C patients who can turn D anytime, and I don't want D anytime. There is no categorization. But if the price is the categorization, I refuse to stoop down, because I know my charges, I know my costing, I know what is the profit. I have complete clarity over what amount I want to take home. Because if I want to reduce the amount from my take home, I will do that. When you do a practice, you don't do only with the, you can say, this is my passion. I'm doing dentistry for passion. At the end of the day, profit also matters. So don't do only fool yourself. You can say, when you're doing same things and you can say you're doing a lot of work, but still not making money. You have to ask yourselves, your family will also say, सारा दिन काम करते हो तुम, सुबह से लेके शाम तक स्ट्रेस में रहते हो, थके रहते हो, फैमिली के साथ स्पेंड करने के लिए टाइम नहीं है तुम्हारे पास, एंड स्टिल यू से कुछ भी महंगा ऑर्डर करना होता है तो तुम बोलते यू लुक आउट फॉर द चीपेस्ट आइटम ऑन द मेन्यू. वी डोंट गो फॉर अ वेकेशन. व्हाई? इन स्पाइट ऑफ वर्किंग सो हार्ड, why are you not earning well? And suddenly people turn defensive at that point of time. They say, you are not supportive, you don't support me. And somebody will support you in your family for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 15 months, 18 months. But beyond that, they will say, you are the one who is to be blamed. You can't keep on blaming your family if you are not there. Your passion has to correlate with your profit. If your passion does not reflect in your bank account, to hell with such a profession. To hell with such a profession. Change your profession if it is not reflecting in your bank account. It is as simple as that. It may be a noble profession, but at the end of the day, it is a business. And for any business, the big P, the profit matters a lot. And if, as I say, not reflecting in bank account, change your profession. Somebody will be supportive only for a limited time, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 months, maybe 24 months, 2 years. But beyond that, everybody will say something is definitely wrong, which you don't want to correct. And we keep on getting defensive and blaming the family. You are not supporting, you are not doing this. मैं सुबह से लेके शाम तक मरता हूँ, काम करता हूँ. अरे अगर काम करते हो तो कुछ आना भी चाहिए ना. Money does not have only the aim of, you can say, living on the daily needs. Money has different purposes. It simply goes by the TWCGO formula. You have to spend the money. You have to spend the money to meet your daily needs. You have to spend the money for your recreation. You have to spend the money for charity. You have to spend the money for your upgrades. These all things are part of or uses of money. But if somebody is not using these things or taking advantage of the money, then it is automatically that if you are living just for the daily needs, then you are actually denying yourself or your peak life a lot of enjoyment, you can say, because recreation and enjoyment is also one of the uses of money. वो सिर्फ बैंक में पड़ा रहने के लिए नहीं होगा ना, कमाओगे तो पहुंचेगा ना बैंक में, द फर्स्ट थिंग. So don't hunt for such patients, rather say bye-bye to such patients. Not fluent while quoting charges for big treatments. The only thing is, my mom says one thing, that if you are not confident, if you don't trust yourself, you may lie to the whole world, but you will not lie to the mirror. If you are not fluent, you accepted that thing, get yourself upgraded in your deficiencies of treatment. Maybe you are not confident about the treatment part, maybe you're not confident about the skill part, maybe you're not confident about the armamentarium part, maybe you are having all those things, but you're not working on the conviction part. If you have a problem in the conversation or the communication, practice role rehearsal and role reversal. Role rehearsal is your staff can be your patient and you can be the dentist, and then you do that thing vice versa. Or when two of you are dentists, the husband, wife, or the spouse, you can do a role reversal, asking patients, doing a multifactorial treatment, adding up wherever whose input is required. So these are two vital aspects of communication in practice, of building up the conviction part. Remember, marketing also works on AIDCA formula: attention, interest, desire, conviction, and action by the patient. So you arouse and you take patient's attention, you arouse some interest, the patient has a desire to get the treatment done, you say that with conviction, and the action is taken. So this is the way. Then reluctant and hesitation in increasing charges at required point of time. The simple you can say the thing is that we always, as I fondly call it, we don't call it a light cure restoration or a light cure filling or a composite. We call it a composite approach. That is the way it actually is pronounced by so many colleagues, so many learned colleagues in India pronounce it as a composite. They simply feel, यार patient की 5 कर रहे हैं, एक filling कर देते तो क्या फर्क पड़ता है, इत्तू छा तो composite लगता है. That is the simplest answer people give, इत्तू छा तो composite. Again, calculate your costings. Your filling cost will also be an eye opener to you. नहीं कैलकुलेट कर सकते तो मेरा वीडियो देख लो जीपीएम पे, आपको बता देगा जीपीएम एनपीएम में कि आपकी कॉस्टिंग क्या है. If you are never ready to go beyond Ittusha composite culture, I'm sorry to say you are not actually willing to grow further in life. Then point number 63 is how much to charge for patient house helps or drivers, etc. Not making it too less to avoid making them feel I have charged them more for their treatment. So I believe the owners, let's suppose you charge 100 rupees for the treatment, and you're asking if those owners send their house helps or drivers, etc., how to charge them. The very simple answer is go as per your clinic policy. If you say my clinic policy is for the poor people, I offer for the poor people, known relatives, I offer 10% discount only. That is my clinic policy. And if you feel that the patient, your help or driver will not be able to afford my treatment, you can send the same to some other dentist. It is as simple as that. Everybody has a gurdwara or a mandir around them where there is a charitable hospital. So again, why is that hesitation in sending the patient over there? But if the patient values their staff, they will send the patient to you and pay for their treatment. And in majority of my cases whose house helps I have treated, max at 5 to 8% discount. That's it. Not even 10%. I've told them very clearly. सामने गुरुद्वारा है, यहीं पास में 2 मंदिर हैं जहां पे दोनों में चैरिटेबल डिस्पेंसरी है, आप वहां भेज दीजिए. मैं अपने चार्जेस में कॉम्प्रोमाइज नहीं कर पाऊंगा because I use certain kind of you can say materials, and you can say those charges cannot be lessened because I know my costing things. However, I convey that I say with conviction. You can't say I will do your house help for 50%. The simple answer would be, अच्छा आपने मेरा भी इसका मतलब 50% profit में किया काम. So why do you let the patient go into that mindset? How much to charge relatives? The same answer. Frame it as per the clinic policy. And most important thing, convey everything beforehand. See, and never ever bypass documentation with relatives, be it your case history form, record keeping form, documentation, treatment approval form, consent form, or many other forms that we use in our consent system or in the record keeping system. All those are to be done as like a normal patient only. Don't make a shortcut there. Number one. Number two, when you use a proper consent in the way I do, you will always have the charges written in there. The total charge is conveyed verbally. Of course, the written part of the consent comes much later. First is the oral part. Oral part is given the verbal confirmation. Then only we proceed to the written part. The total treatment charges are 20,000 as a clinic policy to all the known patients. I give them 10% discount. So you will have to pay me 18,000 plus minus 10%, which is dependent upon the treatment or whatever your clinic policy and procedures are or your terms and conditions are pertaining to that treatment, as we do. We always keep a plus and minus approach in our consent forms itself. We don't want the patient to have a assumption or a presumption. You have given an estimate for a root canal, core and crown for, let's suppose, 8,000 rupees, but that core becomes a post and core. Who will pay for that 1,000? For example, you are charging 1,000 for the post extra. Who will pay for that post? Who will pay for that 1,000 for the post? You have to keep that margin in your hand. Certain things are not, you can say, in your hand. So that is the reason I always say, give your estimates on the higher side. And लोग करते हैं उल्टा. 25,000 बन रहा होगा ना, एस्टिमेट बोलेंगे आपका 22-23 बन जाएगा. चलो मतलब 20 के आसपास में हो जाएगा सारा ट्रीटमेंट. द पेशेंट सेज दैट 25 को आपने 22 या 23 बोला, डरते हुए पेशेंट ने बोला चलो 20 के आसपास हो जाएगा. नहीं नहीं सर, वो चलो देख लेंगे, कोई बात. एंड देन द ट्रीटमेंट स्टार्ट्स. And now with the may sometimes lack of experience, lack of judgment, lack of clinical situation or genuinely clinical bad situation, the estimate of the treatment turns out to be 28,000 at the final bill. What do you do now? You tell the patient, आपके 28,000 बन गए हैं, आपने 15 दिया हुआ, आपका 13 बैलेंस है. डॉक्टर साहब आपने 20 बोला था, आपने 30 बना दिया. Now that 25 which you had said 22, now you say 28, that becomes 30. आप तो 1.5 गुना चार्ज कर रहे हो. ये तो बहुत गलत बात है. आप तो कह के डिफरेंट कर रहे हो. सर मैंने आपको 22-23 के आसपास बोला था, थोड़ा बहुत तो ऊपर नीचे होता है. डॉक्टर साहब थोड़ा बहुत 6,000 आपने ऊपर बता दिया, 6,000 थोड़ा बहुत होता है. That is the way the problems erupt in your practice and communication. If my patient has an estimate of 22, 23, I will give an estimate of 25 plus minus 10%. और मैं साथ में ये बोल देता हूं, माइनस नहीं, आप प्लस मान के चलना. माइनस तो सिर्फ लिखने के लिए बोलते हैं, प्लस हो सकता है because certain things are not dependent. I give all the explanation that I routinely give. So that means the patient is mentally prepared for 28. Now, touch wood, most of time my estimates are usually correct. Now the patient says, what is my final bill? Sir, you have to pay 23,500. What will the patient do? He'll happily pay you the amount, whatever is pending, of course. I suppose you're charging at every installment or taking in different parts, or as per your set protocol set in the consent form itself, that you have to pay the total treatment in this much installments, or these much would be the payable at each system that we make as a treatment plan setting fully completely. So once you're conveying those things, the patient will feel happy. 25 बोल के यार 23.5 ले लिया इसमें. Is it wrong? It will grant more satisfaction to the patient. हमारी प्रॉब्लम ही आती है, हम लोग हायर एस्टिमेट देने से डरते हैं. रिमेंबर, जो 20 दे सकता है वो 25 भी दे सकता है. जो 20 नहीं दे सकता वो 10 भी नहीं देगा. It is as simple as that. So why are we fearful? Only because of the fear of losing the patients. We want to treat everyone who walks us through our door, who walks to us through our door. And that is the biggest mistake we commit. And once we understand that these things are not at all, you can say, going to make a huge dent in practice, you need to realize, especially for settled people or even for the middle road people. For a youngster who's starting off, he will not have such a situation either. उसके बाद ये बड़ा केस एस्टिमेट वो चीज बहुत कम आएगी कंपैरेटिवली इन द बिगिनिंग ईयर्स ऑफ प्रैक्टिस. सो अगर मिडिल रोड और सेटल्ड ही ऐसा काम करेंगे तो यंगस्टर क्या आपको फॉलो करेगा? You have to realize this thing yourselves. So how much to charge for the relatives? As per your clinic policy, and do not make a shortcut. Do not make any you can say exclusion in documentation for your relatives or known people, because they will be the biggest pain points in your what pain in what you all know. They will be the biggest pain points in that area. Then how to increase charges consistently with growing expenses? As simple as that. Be aware of your costing first. प्रॉफिट तो तब पता लगेगा ना अगर आपको आपकी इनपुट पता लगेगी. अगर आपने प्रोसीजर की आप जीपीएम एनपीएम कैलकुलेट करोगे, my GPM NPM cannot be same to you. In fact, no two dentists who even are, you can say, same batch passmates, practicing in same area, practically using also same kind of materials, taught by the same teachers, they will not have the same GPM NPM. मैंने आपको एक टेम्पलेट दिया इन माय कॉस्टिंग वीडियोस, आप उनको देखेंगे तो आप उसके हिसाब से अपना बना सकते हैं. I've given you for almost all the major procedures. You decide what is your cost, what is your gross profit margin, what are your indirect costs, what is your NPM, and then you can charge accordingly. कितना आप घर लेके जाना चाहते हैं, आपकी चॉइस आफ्टर दैट. अगर आपकी कॉस्टिंग कम है तो you will always try to have a lower price point, but then a lower price point will also mean you will have more patients. Then वो patient management की problem, कुछ पेशेंट उठ के जा रहे हैं, कुछ करवा नहीं रहे हैं, कुछ फॉलो अप नहीं कर रहे हैं, और इवन इफ यू आर हैंडलिंग और डेलीगेटिंग एवरीथिंग परफेक्टली, एट द एंड ऑफ द डे योर बैक एंड नेक आर बर्निंग. व्हाट इज द पॉइंट इन दैट? सो अ लोअर पॉइंट प्राइस पॉइंट विल नॉट ब्रिंग यू मोर रेवेन्यू. Less patients with more money will bring you more revenue because your costings go down drastically. Try to understand the principles of economics. हम लोगों को लगता है ज्यादा करेंगे, अरे होलसेलर थोड़ा ना है हम लोग. एग्जाम्पल अगर होलसेलर रिटेलर की तो हम लोग रिटेलर हैं, वी आर नॉट होलसेलर्स. कोई क्विंटलों में माल थोड़ा ना बेचते हैं हम लोग. आओ जी आओ, 32 फिलिंग पे 35वीं फिलिंग फ्री, या 25 फिलिंग पे 10 फिलिंग फ्री. इट डज नॉट हैपन इन आवर केस. 25 फिलिंग किसी की होती भी नहीं है. ऑफ कोर्स एक्सेप्शंस असाइड, abrasions might be there in plenty, but so you might encounter 25-24 abrasions, but just to say it in a different way, बहुत कम होगा कि आपको ऐसी सिचुएशन मिलेगी. When a patient came back 5 to 7 years later after treatment taken by our clinic staff with any complications, complaints like implant failure, feel bad to think about that. Patient and clinic relationship, self-image, not fully digitalization of clinic. So again, even if the treatment fails after 5 to 7 years, you have not given a lifetime warranty. If you have given that, then you are making a mistake over there. You have to warn about all the complications. That is where the consents come in handy. Consent form सिर्फ वो consent form नहीं होता है जो आप लोग देखते हो नेट पे. आई हेयर बाय गिव माय कंसेंट फॉर दिस ट्रीटमेंट. इसमें ये हो सकता है, जैसे वो फार्माकोलॉजी में साइड इफेक्ट्स होते थे ना, क्या होगा? हेडेक, नोजिया, डायरिया, वॉमिटिंग, डिजीनेस, अर्टिकेरिया, वर्टाइगो, रैशेस, एंजियोडीमा एंड डेथ. हर फार्माकोलॉजी के क्वेश्चन में, हर दवाई के साइड इफेक्ट में हम ये लाइन पूरी लिख देते थे. अब इट डज नॉट मीन कि रूट कनाल में भी आप एंड डेथ लिख दें. फेलियर, परफोरेशन, ट्रांसपोजिशन ऑफ कनाल, परफोरेशन, व्हाटएवर, ये नहीं होता है हर एक में. देयर इज अ वे टू डू इट. द कंसेंट फॉर्म इन रियलिटी मीन्स setting the patient expectations and doing the work as per them so that you and the patient start on the same page. Consent के मायने बदल दिए हैं. With due respect to IDA head office, जो consent forms वो बेचते हैं, of course they sell it. They are not consent forms. नेट पे जो मिलते हैं, they are not consent form. They are the bodies of consent. ना टॉप ना बॉटम. वो कोर्ट में, किसी कोर्ट में वैलिड नहीं है. So try to understand. There is a way, there is a scientific way to do consents. You cannot rely only on that blanket consent forever throughout your life. नहीं हुआ अब तक, आपकी किस्मत अच्छी है. जिस दिन होएगा उस दिन रात को लोगों को 12 बजे मेरी याद आती है. कोई रात के 12 बजे फोन करता है, कोई रात के 1 बजे फोन करता है, तो इसलिए करते हैं. So you have to understand. If you set the patient expectations right, that everything has a life. Everything has a life. 7 साल पुरानी पैंट पहन रहे हो, रोज पहनते हो वही पैंट, 7 साल पहन लोगे? नहीं पहन सकते. वही शर्ट पहन लोगे? नहीं पहन सकते। डॉक्टर साहब मैं बदल बदल के पहनता हूं। दांत भी बदल बदल के यूज करते हो? दांत तो वही यूज करते हो ना, दिन में 3 टाइम 4 टाइम फॉर 7 years। कितनी बार यूज किया? सेट द एक्सपेक्टेशंस राइट। You promise them a moon and you land up on not even on the tree top. You land in the shit hole. हम लोग ऊपर जाने नीचे गिरते हैं गड्ढे में, डीप डाउन शिट होल। देन वी रियलाइज कहां गलती थी। गलती कहीं नहीं थी, गलती आपके एक्सपेक्टेशन सेट करने में थी। एंड दैट इज वेयर इट मेक्स अ डिफरेंस। नॉट फुल डिजिटलाइजेशन ऑफ क्लिनिक। आई वुड एडवाइज यू skip the paper route, come to digital way. It is so convenient, easy, handleable, and of course gives you a lot of peace of mind. Lot of peace of mind. And trust me, your softwares are not the answer to it. If you feel that the softwares are answer to it, sorry. You need to have a strategy in your clinic first. Have a good business model. You need to have systems in your practice, your SOPs, your documentation, etc. Then you need to have a good team in your practice. All these three are in order. Automation comes later. Automation is at number 4, and your software falls in the automation category. Automation में पहले जोर देते हैं, ना सिस्टम है, ना स्ट्रैटेजी है, ना टीम्स है। वो कभी असिस्टेंट सिर खुजा रहा है अपना सॉफ्टवेयर यूज करते वक्त, कभी आपको बुला रहे, कभी कंपनी को बुला रहे हैं, यार हैंड्स ऑन देके जाओ, हमें डेमो देके जाओ। एंड दैट इज द वे थिंग्स वर्क। वी आर मोर इंटरेस्टेड इन गैजेट्स, वी आर मोर इंटरेस्टेड इन मशीन्स। व्हाट वी फॉरगेट इज व्हाट इज इंपॉर्टेंट इज द मैन बिहाइंड द मशीन, एंड दैट इज वेयर इट मेक्स ऑल द डिफरेंस। ऑटोमेशन में ज्यादा इंटरेस्ट है, स्ट्रैटेजी, सिस्टम और टीम में कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं है। We have to go in that order: strategy first, systems then, followed by team, then automation. हम लोग उल्टा करते हैं। So digitalization is the way to go, but yes, not in your software answer. There are easy answers available. Of course, when I do the documentation workshops now I merge the consent workshop with that. I teach in that also. So patients always want free consultation. Refuse them. Who told you to do it? If it is a very poor case, a rickshaw wala, a poor laborer, out of you can say concern, empathy, you can do it. But if any normal patient wants a free consultation, set the expectations right. The doctor charges a fee to show his face. It is as simple as that. पूछने के भी पैसे लोगे, देखने के भी पैसे लोगे जी। Consultation means this only. Simple answer. Why to fret and frown? और क्या होता है, हम हलवाई बैठे हैं, हम रेट बताने के लिए बैठे हैं। People try to answer it in a very non-convenient, you can say non-communicable manner, which is actually wrong. जी, दिखाने के, पूछने के, सब कंसल्ट करने के पैसे होंगे। That's it. Don't say that. Let your assistants convey that. And if still the parents say, अच्छा ये तो पैसे फीस देखने के भी लेते हैं, फिर ट्रीटमेंट के भी लेंगे, you automatically know this guy is from your list of 28. So the best thing is that always say bye bye Mr. 28. It is as simple as that. So when I diagnose the large treatment scale required, but the patient does not get our point of view because you have not simplified the things enough, you have not gone down to the patient's level and tried to convey the things in a way where it is, you can say, understandable to them. Where it is understandable to them. If you make those things pretty much clear to the patients will realize this thing and be more on the same page as you. So try to avoid jargon as much as you can, because that is only going to make a difference. So seeing all the fancy cases posted on social media, it feels I'm not doing enough. अब इसका सिंपल आंसर है, सब बच्चों के 95% आए, आपके बच्चे के 95% नहीं आए तो क्या करोगे? बच्चे का गला घोट के मार दोगे उसको? The same logic applies to you. We are all fascinated by the white lines on social media. White line means the filled canals, I would say. Most of the cases shared on social media are first in the endo category, the second in the full mouth or the implant category. Most of them. Of course, there are cosmetic cases as well, followed by that. But in that order, we see the cases online. But somebody who's not doing documentation because of the excess work maybe he's having, or maybe lack of camera or photography skills, that's okay. Why do you get, you can say, fascinated by those things? Why do you get fascinated by those things? You all have your own niche. We may be having a perio as a niche. Nobody posts perio cases mostly. So that's perfectly okay. We are all attracted by the SOS system. Not save our souls, the shiny object syndrome. I call that as the SOS system, or the shiny object syndrome system, you can say. People are doing so much, I am not doing anything. I am worthless. So what will you do? Commit a suicide? Eat rat poison? नदी में छलांग लगाओगे? कौन सा वे आपके लिए easy way? या train tracks? So that is not an answer, of course. Of course, don't take me seriously. I'm just joking. Don't literally attempt that. बाद में कहोगे मैंने attempt किया, मैंने बोला था. So what I mean to say is that people have that niche. So they are posting those cases. Your niche might be different. So there may be reasons where you might not be doing it. So what makes you feel that you are not doing enough? Get over it. Get over the SOS syndrome from yourself. Sometimes feel lack of confidence to practice certain procedures learned in courses in absence of mentor. So end up remaining with a certain comfort zone, which is preventing progress. Practice, practice, and practice till you get bored. That is the commonest lines. Remember the 2009 Chandni Chowk to China Akshay Kumar starrer? मुझे तुम्हारी उस एक मूव से, मुझे तुम्हारी उन 10,000 मूव से खतरा नहीं है जिसकी प्रैक्टिस तुमने एक बार की है, बट मुझे तुम्हारी उस एक मूव से खतरा है जिसकी प्रैक्टिस तुमने 10,000 बार की है. Practice, practice, and practice till you get bored, till you become a master in that. We need to understand there has to be a way of learning. And if you just keep on learning and learning and learning, it becomes knowledge cholesterol only. So learning requires action and implementation as well. I can only put you in a think zone, but I cannot transport you into the action zone. The action and the implementation still has to be taken by you only. Fear of failure or things going wrong, especially when attempting new or difficult procedures. That's absolutely okay. Version 1 is better than version none. Get over the elephant theory. Just because you failed at it once, it does not mean you will fail at it every time. Why don't we start? Because we fear the effect of failure. We fear failure. To tell you one thing in very simple line, always aim for a shabby success. Success when you attempt it the first time will not be very much perfect. In fact, there is nothing called as a perfect in this world. We have one Mr. Perfectionist around us, Mr. Amir Khan, who also has Mela and Thugs of Hindustan. Of course, I won't go into LSC, but even that was a bad movie, no doubt. The first 2 hours were still bearable, but the last 45 minutes were a complete torture. In fact, again, not going to that part, but that guy also has Mela and Thugs of Hindustan. So there is nothing called as that. Be happy with perfect mediocrity when you are starting off. Don't aim for a perfect success. Be okay with a shabby success in the beginning. Get rid of the elephant theory in your mind. If you can't get rid of the elephant theory in your mind, you will be in that comfort zone, and we will go back to that complaint number 54, 55 that it was. Same income, same cases, same type of things. Because we are not trying anything new. Just for the fear of failure. Why do people don't try anything new? I do this thing. किसी एक ने भी नेगेटिव बोल दिया ना मेरे बारे में, तो मेरे को बहुत हर्ट होगा. तो you want 100% validation. It is very simple. 100 लोग अगर मेरा सेशन अटेंड करेंगे, उनमें से 10 लोग बोलेंगे it was a waste of time. I wasted my 1 hour and 20, 30 minutes, whatever time the session is. 90 might say good things. Or 90 में से शायद 70 might say good things, 20 might say extraordinary things, but 10 will say bad. Do I focus my opinion on those 10? No. In fact, I always ask myself, tell me your feedback, tell me the brickbats, tell me the negative, tell me the constructive criticism. I'm open to it. If somebody says it was a waste of time, I will say improve your taste. I will only say improve your taste. You really have a bad taste then. It is as simple as that. I'm not saying it generally for my lecture. I'm saying it in general for any attempt that we make. So if you base your opinion on those 5 to 10%, 15% negative, cynical people who have a habit of criticizing everything they come across in their life, then you are making yourself a culprit to all these things, all these pain points yourselves. You're making yourself a slave to perfection. And trust me, there is nothing called as perfection in this world. The sooner you understand it, attempting anything shabbily will give you certain action. If this point makes sense with you, type MS in the chat box. Makes sense. If this thing makes sense with you. Because we all, for the fear of failure, don't attempt these things. And that is where it makes a difference. So those negative, cynical people who say it was a waste of time, always tell, improve your taste, buddy. You really deserve to have a taste for me to develop a taste for myself. Okay. So wanting to be too perfect, causing problems. Absolutely. Just answered that. Perfect mediocrity is better than perfect success. Aim for a shabby success. Successful is painful in the beginning, decent in the middle, and you can say very much blissful in the end, I would say. I will quote our Indian captain Rohit Sharma over here. He always says this thing many times. I've heard, at least 2 or 3 times I've heard from his mouth. He said, you did perfectly well. You led the team very well. Bowling, बहुत अच्छे changes किए आपने. You said the batting order right. The field placements are exact spot on. He said, when everybody does his or her job as has been conveyed to them, as per their job description, the outcome looks perfect and the captain looks a king. But when the things don't fall into place, the captain is the one who is wearing the crown of thorns. So it looks very much rosy, happy when everything falls into place. So if you have a system in your place and everyone is attempting things as per their role, things will automatically look a well-oiled machinery. But if it's not, it will look as a disorganized structure. So want to improve soft skills and communication with patients and staff. When I say the management functions, I told you the first thing is clarity, capability, competence, and courage. The first thing is clarity. What do we all have in clarity? Clarity is not about kitna business, kitna dhanda, kitna profit. Clarity is about personal goals and professional goals. अब प्रोफेशनल गोल्स में तो आपको आ गया, मुझे लेट्स सपोज 1 लाख का रेवेन्यू चाहिए, देन उसका फर्दर ब्रेकडाउन, माइक्रो लेवल ब्रेकडाउन, वो कहां से आएगा? आई डू 20 रूट कनाल्स एट 3,000 रुपीज, 60,000 वहां से आ गया. आई डू 20 क्राउन्स और 10 क्राउन्स एट 3,000, 30,000 वहां से आ गया, 10,000 मिसलेनियस में आ गया. दिस इज काइंड ऑफ अ ब्रेकअप. व्हेन यू सेट द प्रोफेशनल गोल्स, you have to go at a micro level. Now, what are your personal goals? It is not always, I want to go to Miami, I want to go to for a world tour. That is fine. But the personal goals are related to your own upgradation as well. And one of those personal goals is always a learning goal. We are not born perfect. We will never be perfect. We will never be totally You can say bestowed with all the kind of knowledge that we all want. Life is a continuously learning process. Always strive to be a LLL, lifelong learner. When you thrive to be a lifelong learner, you will always have an understanding of all the basic functions of management, all the 7 basic functions. It does not mean that you will do all the 7 by yourself, but you will have the knowledge of that so that you can guide your staff, you can guide your associates on that. That is where it makes a difference. So whatever you are lacking, have a clarity of that and make that as a learning goal. So if you lack soft skills in communication, learn it from a mentor who teaches it. Make that as a learning goal. अगर वो दिमाग में फंडा है ना, कर करके enough. Spend 5, 10, 15, 20 years doing that. You might learn, you may learn, you will learn, you can learn. What can be the option? Your choice. Depends upon the environment around you. Time management, especially treatment time. Don't like to rush. Who told you to rush? Who told you there is a target of completing 1500 patients in a day, or 150 patients in a day, or even 15 patients in a day? Who told you? It is your jungle. You are the lion of that jungle. If you don't decide the rules, who else will? You decide, I don't like to rush. I'll keep only 8 appointments because I don't want to delegate also. Fair enough. You have a small size practice. You don't have a very flourishing practice. You have a small size to medium size practice. You want to keep yourself to maybe 8 patients a day, or including some new checkups as well, or excluding some new checkups as well. So once you're doing that, go on. Treat 6, treat 7, treat 8. If you don't want to delegate, your choice. But then charge well. The time will automatically be managed. 8 के 6 कर लो, जितना आपको करना है. If you're putting in time and effort, that should equate with the money charged as well. अगर टाइम एफर्ट में कमी नहीं हो रही है, मटेरियल में भी कमी नहीं होगी. I believe that comes given with this. So you should not be afraid of charging also low, because you're compromising on the number. So you don't have to compromise on the price. Remember that. Bringing down indirect expenses. To bring down indirect expenses, you first have to know what are the indirect expenses, because most of them are hidden. Delegating work with micromanaging. I just gave you an example. Breaking down of have a clarity of your functional systems, your personal goals, your business goals, professional goals, designing your model accordingly, doing a record keeping analysis. Where does the revenue primarily come from? That is where it makes a difference. Keep appointment when working on complex cases. I didn't get this point. Keep appointment when working on complex cases. Probably you are having walk-in patients which you are not able to give time. Again, it is your priority on how to choose the way of working, conveying the same to the patient, making a system in the practice so that every patient who is a referral case, they come with a prior appointment, or they call you with a prior appointment. You have to set the system for that. It will never take more than 1 year to set up an appointment system. In 2007, I took less than 1 year, and today's fast-paced, technology-driven world, I don't think it will take even more than 6 months to do so, especially when the patients are more aware about the dental procedures as well. So keeping away the temptation for free goodies for large cases. This is the kind of value addition. Now, value addition does not always come with the expectation in the patient's mind that you will give a free toothbrush or free toothpaste sample or any mouthwash sample with that. It is always related to a value-driven treatment. If the patient has trusted you with 50,000, 1 lakh rupee case, he is not interested in a 100, 200 rupee mouthwash or a toothpaste. He is interested in value addition, and that value addition does not come in the form of these goodies. It comes in the form of doing the treatment ethically, doing the treatment with the longevity, doing the treatment on time, setting the expectations right, and of course, fulfilling them. under promise and over deliver. These are the value additions along with the internal marketing factors: courteous staff, clean interiors, you can say soft spoken, good communication skills, good follow up, good feedback. All those things are a part of value addition, or you can say internal marketing as well. Yes, as an added thing, you want to give toothbrush, toothpaste, mouthwash sample, you can give that. If somebody is paying you 500 or 50,000 or 1 lakh rupees, I think you can afford that also. Even if you are not getting any sample, you can buy that 200, 150 rupees thing and gift it to the patient from your side. So why keep the temptation away? It is not, again, as I say, it is all about setting the expectations in the patient's mind. If you don't set it right, who else will? But the problem is we try to fulfill those aspects again on the over promise and under delivery format. And that is where the problem comes. Fear of treatment failed and some hesitation or consciousness treating high profile people. Make that as a learning goal. If you are not confident, comfortable doing a particular treatment, do not attempt it. Delegate it to a associate or a visiting consultant. If you are confident, then only attempt it. Again, hesitation, consciousness, or lack of that is one aspect different. The other side is the medical legal negligence. And that is a dark and a dingy side. Trust me, guys, those who have been there, they can tell you how hellish that situation is. So don't be adventurous in your clinic. If you don't have a knack or a hold over a particular topic, please, please, please do not attempt it. You might lose 20, 30, 50,000 rupees. If the patient says, no, I won't get it from the consultant, I will get it only from you. Make that as a learning goal, update yourself rather than attempting it shabbily in that case and then ending up and paying 10 times more back to the patient, having a loss of reputation in the form of medical negligence. That is more painful than losing 20, 30,000 rupees. So make that as a learning goal, upgrade yourself and come back stronger. That's okay. Nobody is born with all the plethora of services that you are doing. Patient retention that feels he won't come back again for other treatment. Remember the 3 E's. If you have done the treatment with the 3 E's efficaciously, efficiently, and effectively, the patient will feel you like a magnet and he will be attracted back to you. He will be attracted back to you. You don't have to keep on feeling. If you feel that the patient did not come back, even on reminders or referrals, that means something out of that 1 or 2 E was lacking. Effectively, efficiently, and efficaciously. One who understands these 3 lines, these 3 words, they will never have to face a problem in patient satisfaction. So conversion ratio for big treatment patient like full mouth is difficult task because you lack the conviction or the confidence. Or maybe if you have the treatment skills or you have that, you can say learning with you, you lack the communication skills. Either of that, make that as a learning goal and learn it. Make that as a learning goal and learn it. Even after 10 years of clinical experience, failure to convert big ticket patients. I know of my colleague, one of my batchmates, who even after 18 years was doing only silver amalgam filling. The primary reason, once we graduated out in 98, he never ventured out of his clinic to learn anything new. He said, composite se sensitivity ho jati, main nahi karunga. Elephant theory is at play. Lack of upgradation. Now that colleague has shifted to United States after clearing the exam, and he is starting his practice next month, or probably started this month only in August. So I'm not sure what he'll be doing. Of course, he can't do the same things over there. But if somebody is not able to convert big ticket patients, that means either you lack the skill, either you lack the communication, or you lack the conviction. It's as simple as that, related to one of these 3 aspects only primarily. So make that as a learning goal, learn it, and then do the consultation. And of course, in between the 2, there is a phase of role rehearsal and role reversal that I just told you. Because of excessive work and less turnover in terms of finance, even after considerable time, bad effects on personal, professional life balance, affecting quality of life. It is as simple as that. As I have told in the previous session also, work is not your life. I mean, your professional work. Professional work is not your only life. It is a part of your life. If you are not going on to maintain a proper work-life balance, that itself tells you. As I said, money has various uses. It has to go in for learning, upgradation. It has to go in for daily needs. It has to go for wants and recreation also. It has to go for charity also, giving back to the society. So there are various ways of money, various uses of money. It is not only feeding yourself by indulging in firefighting. So if you have excessive work, cut down on your work. The easiest filter to that is raising charges. Keep your charges high, raise your charges, because that will solve both the problems of excessive work and less turnover. You will have less numbers, but then you are not competing with someone in the Guinness Book of Records that you have a OPD of 70, 80, 100. Nobody is going to give you a medal for that. Not even your own family. Not even those patients who have you have worked day in and day out. Ultimately, your family is going to stand with you only. If you don't value them in your youth, they will not value you in your old. It is as simple as that. If you understand this one line, you will try to think over my advice if you are watching it. Sorry. Okay. So more number of patients and difficult to handle daily OPD and major work due to more workload, having back and leg pain started since 1.5 years. अभी तो बस शुरुआत है, आगे आगे देखो होता है क्या. This tells me you are charging less. This tells me you are not delegating enough. This tells me you don't have a physical activity in your schedule. This tells me you don't have an active game or any sport in your daily schedule. This means you work like a donkey in your clinic. This one line tells me so many things. And I've provided answers to every one of that. So think about it. What do you want to do with your life? Premium work is very less because maybe you are not marketing it. We discussed in the marketing part. If you are having a new service, a new skill set, unless you know, unless you make your patients know this thing, unless you market it, you are not going to get that work. You're not going to get that work. Giving up to emotional bargaining by patients and reducing charges. आपकी choice है. Because you don't know your costing. This tells me you're not aware of your costings. Get an insight into your costing, and trust me, you will never be even emotionally, physically, or in any manner be subdued by the patient bargaining. Undercharging for some premium treatments. I have given the example of Dr. Sandesh Maikar, who came to my town in 2003. At that point of time, even I was charging, we can say 22 or 2300 for a PFM crown. I feel happy because people still after 20 years are charging 1200 in my town. So even at that point, I'm 22, 23. The highest some of us or some of our colleagues spoke in that conference or the CD was, sir, I charge 4,000 rupees. And we were like 4,000 rupees, 2002 or 3 I'm talking. So, and even at 4,000, he said, guys, are you doing dentistry? You guys are not doing dentistry. You are selling onions. And trust me, he used these words for PFM crowns. Now, when I see people doing ortho treatment for 15,000, when I see implants, any Chinese, Turkish, Israeli, whatever being offered for 12,000, when I see PFM in 12,000 or 1,200, sorry, when I see metal free being offered in 4,000, 5,000, I just have a palm on my face moment with me. ये लोग क्या कर रहे हैं? जिससे कमाना चाहिए उसमें नहीं कमा रहे हैं तो किस में कमाएंगे? Just for the fear of losing the patient. They are creating a mediocrity in our own profession via their charges. Think about it, guys. अगर प्रीमियम में नहीं कमाया तो किस में कमाओगे? स्केलिंग में, फिलिंग में? नहीं कमा सकते उनमें तो. थिंक अबाउट इट. क्लिनिक ओवर डिपेंडेंट अपॉन मी बिकॉज you are Mr. Perfect. Create your clones. Get a DNA technology and create your clones. Because nobody can do work as perfect as you are doing. When you are the best on your team, you will never delegate your job. The ideal way is to hire and train your associates and assistant staff so that they work as per you. And remember, even if they are not able to attempt things perfectly in their first few attempts, does not mean they don't know the task. Even you developed a perfection over the task over after so many years. So why expect them to do the same in the first outing? So low convincing for big ticket cases, implant FMR, already dealt with it. Add conviction, add your learning goals. Still not able to follow proper consent protocol for every treatment. Learn it properly. Consent is not what you find on internet. There is a scientific way to learn it. When you add value to someone, they say when you are adding value to someone, sell shamelessly. So I'm selling my consent workshop to you. I'm starting it on 11th September. Come on board. Join me and learn the proper way of using the consent, using the documentation in your practice. I'll teach you at least 50 forms in that workshop. 5050. And treatment के consent form शायद 15-16 ही हैं. उसके अलावा बहुत सारी चीजें हैं which you will learn in that workshop. I'm selling you shamelessly. No harm in that. We work for hours performing repetitive movements with our hands and wrists, grasping the same instrument all day for the majority of their work. How to reduce musculoskeletal disorders that cause the bone and muscles in their hands and wrists to fatigue and in later stages exhibit chronic pain. Number one thing is make a correct posture choice. Add, you can say, ergonomic gadgets to your practice. Maybe microscope, maybe Sally's tool, maybe and that. Other than that, I will advise you to indulge in daily walk. Other than that, I will advise you to indulge in a sport at least 2 to 3 days a week where you burn yourself, run yourself for 2 to 3 to 4 hours and be not still be guilty about wasting time. Have that. जितनी देर आपके हाथ पैर चलते रहेंगे ना उतनी देर आप जवान. Otherwise, our profession has one of the strongest chances to disable us, and more so with females who have an added load of pregnancy on their bodies, multiple pregnancies on their body, not on bodies, of course, but multiple pregnancies on their bodies. So you have to have an outdoor sport. You have to indulge in yoga, physiotherapy, whatever is hurting you, whatever is your, you can say, is your getaway. You have to indulge in that. Please be mindful of that. So the last in the process pain points, and with this we will be opening the session for queries. So bargaining after treatment completion, and sometimes the code, what they want to pay for the procedures, which is very much irritating compared with pre-COVID time charges. Simply say, I'm sorry. That is the simplest way to get yourself out of all the troubles. If you still don't want to get out of all these troubles and still want to get your price and be irritated, and then you will not be able to put in your 100% in that treatment output. Why to begin that journey, which is going to be painful one. And this is the reason you have to, you as a CEO, as an entrepreneur of your clinic, have to pay to your team also. But yes, where do the people try to make a cut? They will try to make a cut in their assistant's salary, in not raising their annual charges, in cutting down on their vacation, in cutting down on their lifestyle, you can say recreation, in cutting out on their enjoyment time. By earning less, they will try to cut down somewhere. And if because of that, any staff member leaves, they get into that hiring coma. You all know coma, what it is. They get into the hiring coma. अच्छा चला गया, वैसे भी कौन सा कोई काम करता था. And we try to do their work also. So in that less charges, we have added more work. It is a cycle which goes on. People will keep leaving you and you will keep doing on their work also, and ultimately end up with a bruised and a battered body. If you are happy and okay with that, please accept patient bargaining. If you are not happy and okay with that, say simply, I am sorry. That is the easiest way to get rid of any kind of mental shackles. So with this, we finished the process pain points. Now we will be beginning the finale session on Thursday, 8th August, 8 p.m. from support pain points. And of course, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are not that lengthy. So I expect to cover that in 1.5 hour of that session on Thursday. So with this, I stop my share and I will be unmuting you so that you can ask your questions. So please feel free to ask your questions. I'll go to the chat box to see if there is any question from you guys. And before people out of you start leaving, please do post your feedback in the workshop WhatsApp groups. Sorry, not the workshop, sorry, in the free WhatsApp group, wherever you are. Please do post your feedback over there, because the pain points are supposed to be for the 1500 of you. And when I see 70 or 50 people, first two sessions had 70 people, these third and fourth had 50 people attending it. I feel pained myself sometimes that if I am taking some pains to deliver something to you with full zeal and energy, if you guys for whom these sessions are there, if you are not interested, what is the fun of these sessions? Anyways, it's a personal choice. Makes a lot of sense, of course. Only two things look perfect. One is God and the other is dead body. Yeah. Using angular loops also helps. Yes, surely. Any kind of ergonomics things which can help are always very good. Dr. Abba says, very, very informative session, and you made us understand in so crisp and clear manner. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Divya says, amazing fairy session. Thank you. Dr. Nisar says, wonderful session. Dr. Mayur says, great session. Dr. Rohit Chavan says, superb and informative session. Dr. Sandeep says, amazing session as usual always. Dr. Aarti says, great session. Dr. Chintan Patel says, nice session. Dr. Ronak says, superb learning experience as always when we listen to you. Dr. Manoj says, thank you, sir, for an informative session. Dr. AG says, wonderful, hard-hitting, eye-opener, drive home season. Dr. Bindu says, thank you, sir, wonderful and informative session. Dr. Abhishek says, great session, sir. Dr. Bhavna says, wonderful session, sir. Thank you very much. Dr. Nitin says, as always, wonderful, sir. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So any queries, anything, you can unmute yourself one by one and ask. Dr. Nisar puts it up in the chat. Why patients run away on seeing us in public place to whom we have quoted high price? Because they feel you will start your selling pitch over there also. That is the reason they fear. And they say, clinic में तो formal होके कर रहे थे, शायद clinic के बाहर informally pitch करेंगे. और आप आए क्यों नहीं? अरे आ जाते, कुछ ना कुछ कर लेते, हम लोग बैठ के कर लेते. आपने 50 बोला था डॉक्टर साहब, 25 भी नहीं बैठता मेरे बजट में. आप बोलते कुछ ना कुछ कर लेते तो शायद आप 50 का 45 कर लेते. मेरे बजट में तो 25 भी नहीं है. So that is the reason they sometimes run away. So I hope you get your answer, Dr. Nisar. Dr. Raki says, very informative. Thank you. Dr. Manali says, wonderful session. Thank you. So Dr. Rajkumar says, thank you so much. Session is simply awesome. Dr. Manu says, thanks a lot for the wonderful session. Dr. Dipali says, very informative and wonderful session. Thank you so much. Dr. Nisar says, wonderful. Please do post your feedback in the WhatsApp groups as well, because I want more and more people to be present for the finale session. Of course, again, बात वही है, जिनको आना वही आएंगे, बाकी जिन्होंने नहीं आना वो नहीं आएंगे. So how much desperately I wanted to do that 5th September session as well. I had planned a lot of surprises on that day, but unfortunately my schedule is such. I'm speaking in Delhi this Saturday, so I might be coming late on Sunday evening or maybe early morning on Monday 5th. So I may not be able to honor that commitment. So I have not cancelled that 5th September session. I have postponed it. Probably in less than a month's time, whenever my schedule allows it, I'll be taking that up, because that requires me at least one full day of commitment other than my clinic also, because you will see what it involves. There is only one webinar, still that requires a whole commitment from me for the whole day. So as and when I get that into my schedule, most probably around the Sahara or maybe a month from now, 20 days from now, I'll inform you. I'll inform you at least 4 or 5 days before. So any queries, I'll be more than willing to answer. Okay, people don't like to be here to see the truth. तंबाकू खा के आते हो, सालों से खा रहे हो, and you want perfectly white teeth, not possible. जब बोलते हैं quit the habit first, they don't want to hear. Just saying this as an example, they want maska patti rather than the truth. Yes, it happens. It happens. I thought you were referring to the dentist, so who were not coming to the session. So I got your point. You were referring to the patients, of course. So if there are no queries, then I'll like to call it a day. You should charge us a ton for these sessions. Yes, these sessions will come up for sale. Don't worry. These sessions will come up for sale. That is why they are not in YouTube. They'll come up for sale very, very soon. Don't worry. Already have that in mind, but not now. Maybe in near future, not now. Okay, guys. See you on Thursday, 8th of September, 8 p.m. You can say be there on time. That will be the finale session. We are already starting point 4. Point 4 is little lengthy with 30-40 pain points, I guess. 5, 6, and 7 have one page of pain points only. So even if it takes a little longer than expected, I will like to finish all of that in session number 5 itself. There will be no session number 6. It will finish in session number 5 finale. That is the reason I kept at 8. So that even if we finish by 9:30 or 10, there are no hassles in that. Okay, guys, bye-bye. Take care. And of course, see you. My workshop on practice management will be in January now. I take workshops every 6 months. I just finished my practice management workshop yesterday. So now the July one, now it will be in January end most likely. So the next workshop on which is coming up in 10 days, 11 days time is the consent workshop, for which I've given you the details in the groups. So you can come on board for that. If you have found value in what consents can do to your practice and different kinds of record keeping can do to your practice. Bye-bye. Take care and do post your feedback, please. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.